Welcome back to How to Coffee. Today I'm going to teach you how to make the perfect espresso. We're going to start with a few key steps, and if you follow these steps every single time, you'll get a perfect espresso without fail. So, the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to grab onto our group handle. Now when I pull my group handle out, you'll notice that there's still coffee inside. We call this a coffee puck because it holds its shape just like a hockey puck. So, what I'm going to do first is I'm going to bash out what's in here. Now it's very important to remember with coffee that it is considered a food, so you have to treat all of the surfaces that coffee comes in contact like a food surface. That means for the purpose of making all of our coffee drinks, that all of the surfaces have to be freshly cleaned every time we make a new one. So we're going to start with our group handle, and I'm going to give it a good clean wipe out. We want to make sure that there's no coffee residue left behind. We always want to use a dry towel. We never want to use a wet towel. And we don't want to be rinsing it out under the water, because what that does is it retains water in the bottom of our group handle and it will dilute our espresso later on. So once my group handle is nice and clean, I'm going to go ahead and portion out a double shot using the grinder that I have here. This is an on-demand grinder, which means that it will portion out the right amount of espresso every single time, and I don't have to worry about making sure that the weights are correct every time I do it. Now, I'm going to go in and do a quick tamp, but before I tamp, I'm going to rinse the shower head on my group head to make sure that the surface that my coffee is going to come in contact with is also cleaned, just like the group handle was. So I'm going to go ahead and press a single shot, portion out just a little bit of water, and that's going to make sure that everything in there is nice and clean without using excess water and wasting energy. While that's going, I've got my espresso here. Now it's got a little bit of a mound on there, and we want to make sure that we've got a nice even bed for an even brew later on. So I'm going to give it a little bit of a tap. It doesn't need to be perfect, just enough so that we don't have loads of peaks and valleys in that bed of coffee, and it's going to make it a lot easier for us to get a nice even tamp. So I'm going to brace on a nice firm surface. We don't want to be doing air tamps. We always want to be on a nice firm surface so that we get a nice amount of pushback from the same surface. When you tamp, you want to make sure that your wrist stays nice and straight. We don't need any pterodactyl or T-Rex wrists. We always want to make sure that it's nice and straight. That's going to give you the right amount of pressure coming from your elbow and your wrist. We never want to press from our wrist. What that does is it really just causes damage to our wrist. And as you make loads of coffees over time, you're going to cause yourself lots of problems, such as carpal tunnel, by using all of that pressure through your wrist instead of your shoulder or your elbow. So, nice 90-degree angle with your elbow, no pterodactyl or T-Rex wrists. Yeah. We're going to press on our counter, nice and firm, like you're giving a really important handshake. Now, I've got lots of debris left around the rim of the basket here, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to wipe off the top, get rid of any of that excess debris, any excess dust that might be there, because anything that's left on there, if we put it right inside the coffee machine, it's going to end up building up over time, and it's going to make cleaning the coffee machine a lot harder at the end of your shift. So, give it a good wipe down. Wipe off your prongs and wipe off your pour spouts. That way we have no coffee grinds going into our beverage or into our machine where they're not supposed to be. I'm going to pull out my tray, pop my group handle in from left to right, give it a nice firm push, pull our double espresso, grab the cup, hold it up against the pour spout so that we catch anything that's coming out. Once you get a nice drip going, you can go ahead and let your cup settle, and it will catch the rest of it. We want to preserve as much of that crema as possible by giving it the shortest amount of distance to travel as possible. That's why you should always use a tray if you have a tray handy. We're aiming for an extraction time between 20 and 30 seconds with an ideal extraction rate of about 20 to 25 seconds, but anything within that 20 to 30 second bracket is acceptable. If we go under 20 seconds, our coffee is going to be super under extracted. We're going to get little to no caffeine. It's going to be really sour and really acidic. Anything over 30 seconds, and we're starting to get a lot of those bitter, toasty notes that are associated with being overcooked. So we want to find that nice balance. In that nice balance of 20 to 30 seconds, we're going to end up with some really fruity notes. We should end up with some nice chocolates, some caramels, and even some nutty flavors. Anything beyond that, and it all starts to go away. So in my espresso, we've got some nice leopard spotting that shows light and dark colors on the surface of the coffee. Espresso is made up of two key components. We've got our body, which sits at the base of the cup, and the crema that lives on the surface. And that's it. If you follow these steps, you're guaranteed to get a perfect espresso every time. Cheers.